morning, roommates. So the first thing we want to talk about is, by the way, I'm sorry from the common room experience. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about simple subjects, but sometimes not simple subjects. I talk about subjects that affect your mental health and how you can help yourself. Um, so today we're talking about forgiveness, okay? And there are a few people on here, people who may see this and be like, "It's about me." Listen, it might be. If the shoe fit, wear it. Okay. So we're talking about forgiveness and pause too. Y'all think I make my own stuff? I'm making it right now. You see my gloves on. You see my dropper. I'm making First of all, these are my vegan oil for oils, and so I'm making the black seed supplement, and my the oil that I use with it is extra virgin olive oil. Now I match up my oils together by their benefits. Um, so let's get going. I'm on my third row. Yes, I have recorded this twice because I forgot to push record and I just had it on picture. Okay, so let's talk about it, okay? So forgiveness. Why do we do it? The reason why you forgive is for you. It's so that you can stop feeling crazy. You can stop obsessing about it. You can stop replaying it in your head. And you can move on with life. Now that's the benefits of forgiveness. The cons of not forgiving are that you'll judge everyone else compared to that person. So you're going to bleed all over the next person who might be good for you. Okay? But you're going to bleed on them because you haven't healed. Okay? You haven't forgave. Forgiving is a part of healing. Okay? And ultimately, forgiving yourself is the biggest part of healing. And so, I this subject right here is about a person I dated, and he was me and him were really tight, but things happened. I don't even remember what happened, and neither can he. But he knew that in his heart, he knew that it was his fault. I don't remember because I was 16. I just knew that he was in my life and I loved him, but I just don't remember how he broke up. I forgave that part clearly because I don't remember. Other dudes, I can tell you off the hip what they did. But first of all, I'm now way younger, but at that time I was young and a little bit immature about relationships. I wasn't supposed to be in none. And at that time, because I was learning some things about myself. But we dated for almost a year, I think it was. Almost a year. And a lot of things happened. Like I said, I don't remember why we broke up, but it was one day he asked, he said, can you forgive me? I'm like, I been forgave you, If you love someone, you forgive them, and that statement can go a long way or it can go the wrong way. Because if you forgive them with your heart, that's real forgiveness. But if you don't forgive them with your words, you're going to be hurt for a very long time. And forgiveness takes some time, because you got to analyze, why am I really hurt? Did I set myself up for this? What red flags did I not see? It's just a few things that you're gonna have to learn about yourself before you're able to forgive them. It's crazy, but it's true. So one thing I established was figuring out what was the kind of man that I thought I wanted back then. And it's the kind of man I might have wanted, but it was not the kind of man that I needed in my life. But yeah, he asked me did I forgive him. I'm like, yeah, I been forgave you. You know, like I said, I don't remember what happened, but that's what forgiveness comes in at. You know, I forgave myself because I wasn't supposed to be dating. I was supposed to be in my books. You know, but like most teenagers, we gotta do what we want to do. So I based all of my guys. I I based here's my prototype. He was my prototype because he was the kind of guy I liked. And so every guy after him, I was like, is he like him? And then I would see glimpses of some of the things that a person used to do. I used to love it. So then I couldn't see the red flag because I was still looking at the prototype. Then the red flags would come, and that whole forgiveness thing became distrust. I didn't trust anybody. I still got trust issues because of the guys who I dated. I never healed from that. No one taught me to heal. No one taught me. Everybody just said get over it. That's not how you supposed to do things. You know, you're supposed to heal first, then you get over it. As you're healing, you do get over it. You know, so it took some time. It took a few L's. When I realized that I was seeking out something that didn't exist, then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and forgive myself some more and get to know who I am. I love me some me, honey. I dated myself and I wanted to see if I was the kind of person I wanted to date. And for the first like 2 months, I was like, I would not date me. And then I started fixing what I didn't like about myself. And that once again, that comes with some deep personal conversations with yourself, and maybe with a therapist too. Because sometimes, like me, I'm mixed up in the head. Sometimes I'll be like, "Yes, I am right," and be dead wrong. But because I said I was right, I was right. But now I take time to sit back and see if I'm right or wrong, and that comes through knowing who you are. And I stopped trying to be the right one. You know, trying to be right all the time is just too much work. Just sit back and listen. They'll they'll figure it out for themselves. Oh, they'll figure it out for themselves. That's not my job to teach. It's my job to teach you nothing. I mean, if you want to learn something from me, that's great, and I will teach you. But as a adult, I'm not going to hold you by your hand and teach you how to be a man because I'm not a man. But I can teach you how to be a good person. And that capitalizes everything. If you're a good person, you can be a good man. So now look, y'all psychos out there, don't take that. Just don't. Okay. If you're a good man, don't do no crazy stuff. You know. But sometimes when you have to forgive yourself, I'm talking about self first. You know, when you start forgiving yourself, it's much easier to forgive somebody else. You know, because you've done some wild stuff and it may have been your fault why things came to pass. But at the end of the day, you got to move on, baby. You can't stay in that poop. See, I didn't cuss. Trigger warning. Getting better at it. Trigger warning. I didn't lose my trust for men from men cheating. I didn't, even though I have been domestically abused, that wasn't the part that didn't allow me to trust men. It was the fact that I had been, trigger warning, um, giving you time to get off and get on or whatever, fast forward. But I had been sexually assaulted so many times that I thought something was wrong with me. Like maybe I have a some kind of spirit that lets people know that I'm vulnerable. And so it was like every guy after I dated, you know, um, after I dated, certain dudes, I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust men. I didn't trust friends. I didn't trust anybody. Because in my head, anybody and everybody can hurt you. And that's really true. Anybody can hurt you. But you gotta be able to trust yourself to pick up the pieces after they hurt you. Or to get out of the predicament before they hurt you. Look at the red signs. Before you date a man, ask yourself, would you want your daughter to date him? Or before a man dates a woman, ask yourself, would I want my daughter to date me? Because when you look at it and you look at it for your child, it's a whole different view. You look at it, I want my child, even if you don't have no kids right now, I'm not saying only for the parents. I'm saying the hypotheticals. Would I want my daughter doing this? I bet you'll say no. And you may stop. But it's all about you and your healing. My family knows all about my junk, and I'm not ashamed of it no more. I used to pop pills. I used to you know, do ballet with pole. Yeah, I used to do ballet on a pole. And don't laugh at me, y'all. That's how I had to say the clean version. I couldn't say the other thing because it made YouTube is pressed. That man took it down too. So I had to say that. But once you think about those kind of thoughts, you really kind of think about, am I really the good person that I thought I was? Like I said, when you know better, you do better. And so a lot of the things I stopped immediately. The ballet performances I did, they stopped like 2 weeks. I needed some money. They stopped like 2 weeks after I had that conversation with myself about what I want my son's girlfriend to be doing this, or I want my son to date somebody who does this. And no shame to people out there who still doing ballet. Um, One side of me said, get your money. The other side of me says, heal. Because most of us are doing that because, I'm trying to be careful, a lot of us did that because at that point in our life, that's what we thought we had to offer. Okay? A lot of us, we love ourselves in a certain way, but a lot of us have not had love, the unconditional real love. Or they were trying to cover pain. Mine was, that's all I thought I had for myself, for real. I ain't gonna lie. I had a banging body. I was a 36, 22, 36. I had a banging body. Don't be doing my math now, okay? We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. I ain't had no kids back then. So, back to forgiveness. Once I forgave myself, the shame went away. The no get in there. The pain of not being accepted, that was one of my biggest hurts, is that no one accepted me because I was very different. First of all, I dated older men. Secondly, which made men my age, boys my age, upset. Like, Who are you? Date somebody? Yes, I dated older men because they seemed like they had more sense than these young ones I was dating. I didn't even date my. Did I ever date my? I don't think I ever dated. I dated one guy my age. That's it. But he was mature. So, other than that, I always dated above below my age because I wanted that affection from somebody who was old enough to not be childish, about stuff. No, did I make the right choice? Probably not. I probably should have stayed my little tail in the house or at church or somewhere like that, you know. But thank God, I'm not going to uh, devalue my situation. I'm never going, and I don't want you to say it either. I don't ever want you to say it could be worse. That disvalues how you feel. Your feelings are validated. But like I said before, it's your choice, your responsibility to get up. Because anybody could lead you, yank you, all those things. But it's your choice to forgive somebody. And you can only do it on your time. There's no real handbook. The Bible say forgive, but yes, that's the only handbook I know that say forgive. It said turn the other cheek, but it did not say stay to get slapped again. Okay? So if that person hurts you, it's time to roll out. If y'all can't come up with an amicable solution, it's time to go. Like I said, don't it say, turn the other cheek, but never say stay and get your tail whooped. I've been through that before too. I've had men who beat me. Once again, another reason why I didn't trust men. I bled over a lot of guys. I bled all over guys. That means some people don't know what that means. Sometimes, okay, when you bleed over somebody, that means that you're wounded and you're putting it on them like it's their fault. So I did bleed on a couple of people, and I asked for forgiveness after the relationship was over and after the yelling and all that. I had to ask for forgiveness. I said, "Listen, y'all, yeah, it was y'all, but listen, I was not a healed person back then. I had a lot of stuff going on. Most of the time, they knew what was going on. Most of the time, because I'm very transparent. I tell people in the first 10 minutes of who I am and what I won't take. But my kids, I never wanted my kids to find out, so I told them myself. About things I have been through and things to watch out for. And that you always can come to me no matter what you've done. Now, you're going to leave that alone, okay? Matter of fact, give me some lemonade water. But, yeah, I don't like real sweet lemonade. I like mine's like a lot of lemon. But, yeah, I can drink it. I can drink it room temperature. I don't know. I can do it. But, yeah, I think I hurt a few guys myself because I was still hurting. But again, I forgave myself. I don't hold myself in a jail because I hurt somebody. Feelings. Once I apologize and change my actions, because saying sorry don't mean nothing if you're not changing your actions. And then that's when forgiveness does start and you start walking away. But even with family, I have a whole side of my family that I don't talk to. If they're listening, you know who you are and why. Okay? But I am forgiving them now. Working on it, okay? Working on it. I'm trying to forgive them now. Long story short, my dad's mom passed away. and I didn't have any relationship with her. She was very mean to me and my family. For example, I told her I don't like corduroy. Everything she bought for me was corduroy. And just like, I told you I don't like that. Why you keep buying me things I don't like? Don't buy me nothing then. And it was times where I would see my cousins and they'll be in pictures with her and stuff like that. And I was sad because I didn't have the relationship. And during the funeral, I was enraged because people were talking about this lady who I didn't know. And they were crying and sobbing. I'm like, I'm low key jealous because I have no emotion to this lady. I don't. To this day, I didn't know her. And I felt jealous. And it was at her funeral where I had to, try to forgive her and that side of my family. And I'm still working on that. Y'all think I'm sitting here saying things like I got it all mapped out. Nope, nope. That's why I'm still in therapy. I'm just telling y'all what I learned. Okay? Um, so it does have forgiveness does not only stand when there's a man or a woman involved. It could be your family. I didn't, like I said, I have the hardest time forgiving people. My trigger warning, is a person who doesn't keep their word to me. And that comes from my grandmother not keeping, my dad's mom, not keeping her word with me. The hurt was there. I was a kid and the hurt was still there. You know, um, she never invited us over for Christmas. She never invited us over, but one time for Thanksgiving. And I don't mean to sound mean, but it was nasty. And me and my siblings didn't have no filter. And so I'm trying to sit there and be nice. I'm just moving food around the plate like I'm eating it. Because I had enough understanding to do that. My siblings didn't have no understanding. They were like, oh, this is nasty. Oh, this is nasty. Baby, that was the one and only time. That was the last time that I had been to her house that I remember. Was when it was a holiday and we went over food. So during the funeral, I do have some cousins who I really kick it with because they're real. And I was talking to one of my cousins and I was like, I'm pissed. She was like, why? I said, because all of y'all have these memories that I should have had too. And because I'm like, I'm the oldest grandchildren. I should have had, some knowledge of her before she passed away. The last time I saw her was when I was 19. I'm alive. The last time I saw her alive was when I was 19 and she drove a cab. And I happened to look up and saw her name. I didn't say anything because I'm like, do she want me to talk to her? Kind of thing, because I haven't forgave yet. But when I got in, she said, good morning. And that was it. She looked back a few times and it hurt because it's like either she don't recognize me, which means she don't really know who I am, or don't know, or haven't seen me in so long she couldn't recognize me. And I was only 19. It was either that or she recognized me and had nothing to say to me. Either way you see it, it was sad, but that made me not trust other people, 'cause I'm like, people leave, people go, it's a song out there called People Leave. Y'all know I'm a rocker, so you know heavy some rocker stuff. And a part of the song was talking about how I feared dying alone. And I still do fear that I'll die alone. And but I'm trying to go by fear too. But once again, it takes some forgiveness. So I'm working on forgiving her. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say, "Oh, I love her so much now." No, no, I probably would never say that. Because for me to love you, it's gotta be unconditional, and you just kept hurting me, so let that alone. But like I said, forgiveness comes first with you forgiving yourself for allowing it to happen. Not putting any shame on you. Am I a victim? If you think I'm, victim shaming, I'm not. I'm saying this. If you know this dude is an a-hole, don't stay with him. If you know this dude beats you once, don't stay there and get beat the second time. You get up off the floor after he done slapped you and you walk away. I'm sorry, trigger warning again. But you gotta save yourself for the next time. By first of all loving yourself, having boundaries, and getting off that thought pattern of he gotta be 6'3", make this much amount of money. That man is already married. Or do you make what that man make? Or give to the table the equivalent. Because my spouse makes way more much money than me, but I teach mental health to my family. I teach a lot of mental health things to my family and how to be a nice person and how to be nurturing, how to be disciplinary without touching. I don't beat my kids. I just take away their stuff. I'll unplug everything. I don't care. But even like with my baby father, my first son's father, I forgave him too. He held a pew pew to my head and I wasn't scared. I was like, dude, I've been trying this forever. Please end it for me. But trigger warning. But I wasn't scared. I said you ain't gonna do nothing, but hold it there. And that's all he did. I got up out the car and I left out. Didn't care. Didn't think about nothing. I was having his baby. That's all it meant to me. I'm having his baby. I didn't want to. First of all, me and him didn't have love. We just had lust. So forgiving him was like really easy because I want to be around you, shorty. I ain't like you like that. But the best thing he gave me was my son, and I ended up this. I saw him after I had my son, and I kind of kidnapped him a little bit, to come and see his son. And he came and he saw my son and gave me $3. That is it. At that moment, I forgave myself and him at the same time. I was like, this dude has no idea on the impact he's going to have on his child. Or he don't care. Regardless, I gotta be the best mommy I can be. Okay? That was getting through depression by myself. Getting through postpartum depression by myself. And it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say being a single mom doesn't come with any kind of regrets. It does come with regrets. But then you look into your child's eyes and say, that's my baby. Forget who else wasn't around. That's my baby. And I love him with all my heart, And I'm happy he ain't come around. Because my son was 20 years old getting his bachelor's degree. He's 21 years old now with an apartment. If his dad would have been around, he'd have messed it all up. So I forgave him for that too. Okay? For staying away. But like I said, me and his dad were not dating. We were just having fun. So it was kind of easy to forgive him because he really he hurt me a little bit because I needed support from his father. But when I figured out I wasn't gonna get it, I moved on. All right, I gotta do something. Something's gotta give. I can't keep waiting on somebody to help me. I gotta do it myself, and that's what I did. Okay, with any instance of forgiving, you have to love yourself first, set your boundaries, and don't accept what you've been through in the past. You are the key. You're the key to forgiveness. There's nothing you can say, unless we want to do a prayer, that's cool too. But there's nothing that I can say to you to teach you how you supposed to forgive. Because your forgiveness might be cutting them off, which is one of mine. Your forgiveness can be, staying away for a while and see what happens. If they mature in that, I talking about friends too. Um, I had a friend, and it was a guy, and he was gay. You know what I mean? It was real cool. I loved him from my heart. I called him my brother. You know, but his birthday had came up, and I was like, I don't have money to get down there or do anything right now, so I'll just wait till you come up here. He was like, Nah, I want you to come down here so we can have fun. I'm like, cool beans. I'll come down there, we'll chill. And if somebody's paying my way, I don't go for lobster and steak. I'll go for wings and french fries. I'm respectable. You know what I mean? I'm respectful because somebody's paying my way. I'm not going to sit there and try to milk that. That's wrong. Well, we got there on the Friday, okay? And we got into our room. And we kind of like hung out, chilled out, played a couple of card games, I think. I don't remember. But we were chilling. And it was like, went out for a little bit of nightlife. And it was okay. He was trying to stay sober. And I was cool with it. I said, listen, you're staying sober. Does my drinking affect you? Because if it does, I won't do it. I'll be sober with you here. And he was like, "No, you go ahead and drink. It's not a big problem. I've recovered from my past, and now he said now I'm at the state where I can be with around somebody else who's drinking." And so I was like, "Cool." So I didn't order a lot to drink. First of all, because it wasn't on my tab. That's the first thing. And secondly, I didn't want him to see me being tipsy and having fun. Because that might trigger him to want to feel how I was feeling. So I had little martinis, things that I knew I was not going to get drunk on. Okay, Magic of Choice, warning label. Magic of Choice is a Long Island iced tea, no gin, extra tequila. And that's my drink, and I wouldn't get nice off of that one drink. But he had we came down there. He paid for the hotel and everything. We woke up. I woke up on Sunday morning. We were supposed to go to brunch. I'm happy I did wake up pretty early because my inside alarm wakes up at 6 no matter what. And so I woke up and was going to the bathroom, and I noticed he was fully clothed and ironing a shirt. I'm like, hold on, I ain't going to the bathroom right now. I can wait. I said, what's going on? I heard y'all talking about me last night. I'm like, you heard us talking about you. You want to talk about you last night? And in my head, I'm like, so you supposedly heard us talking about you through 2 TVs and a door? Nah, that's something else. So I put my 1 and 2 together and figured out what was going on. And I told him, I said, you're having you've relapsed. I can tell. You know what I mean? You clutching your jaw, all of that. He said, I don't care. I don't want to be around you no more. He left me and my best friend down in North Carolina. It was the first time and the last time I allowed that. I haven't spoken to him since. That was my way of forgiving him by not allowing him to have any more access to me ever again. Now, y'all, listen. This is the part that I don't like because I always mess it up. Ready? Okay, you go. All right, let's just hope now, okay? I'm moving everything else out the way. I'm moving everything out the way so I don't, hopefully I don't mess this up again. Because I always mess up one batch. And you're going to see why, okay? You put it on this way, okay, when you're going down. First of all, I had to put all of these, if you can see it, all the capsule tops in this one, and all the capsule bottoms in this one. So we're going to see if I can get this thing to flip over and become a capsule. I never had this problem when I'm doing my dried, but when I'm doing my oiled, I always have a problem with that. I don't know what the problem is. But, alright, so they in there. Excuse the clothes, okay? You hear that snap? And that's the snaps of the capsules becoming one. But because they're liquid, I'm going to push a little bit more and a little bit harder because I don't want all of that coming out, okay? I'm still going to push. I don't care about nothing. No, y'all can wait, okay? I'm not losing no product because I didn't take my time. Let's sit for a second, okay? All right, now let's hope and pray. Whew, let's hope and pray about this. Where did the thing go? Okay, I just put it in this. Okay, so let's try this out. I put things back on the table now. And my collector is right here. It's just a plastic little thing that I got from somewhere. I've been washing it and keeping it because it was free. Let's see. Okay, no spillage. Okay. I'm about to get excited. This is the part where I get scared at. I lift the orange part. The last couple times I lifted the orange top, all the oils came out. Pray for your girl, please. It's already 1 o'clock. I ain't even finished doing one project. All right, let's see now. All right now. Okay now. Now this is another part I have a problem with. When I flip them over to see if they come out or not. So far, so good. Let me see, please.